So if we start with a cylinder here, make polymesh 3D, and again, I'm always looking to be Z forward, Y up, just because that's how things work in ZBrush best. And even at this point, I can immediately just go into Dynamesh. Let's make that lower. So here we have X symmetry turned on, do a quick geometry, modify topology, mirror, and weld. And then immediately I can go through here, hold down Control Shift, and start like clipping through. You can make the, fuselage. Oh, we still have brush radius on. So that's kind of cool, actually. If we do brush radius and you're clipping, it'll actually give you a little brush radius inset. And of course, depending on your brush size, it'll make that inset bigger or smaller. And you can also, again, tap Alt twice to do hard surface stuff. Now, is this box modeling? Is this clean? No. But again, we're just getting our ideas out. We're getting our shapes out. But I'm going to go ahead and turn brush radius off. And let's say we want to just, make some changes and just get this thing kind of up and running and ready to go. Also, ideally, you're working at the scale that you need to be for your external source. So if you do have a proxy of a ship that's already been made, import that and then start building with that in mind so that you're not working at ZBrush scale that may or may not be compatible with what you need to work on. So again, we have our insert mesh brushes here, and anytime I just go up here and select them, and then just I can just drag off here, and then we can scale these down and then scale them out. Again, because we talked about this earlier, under the brush settings here, we can do under auto masking, we have auto mask mesh insert already turned on. So if we want to, and I like to do this too, I like to work with separate subtools. You don't have to, you can control drag again, and then now it's all stuck together. But if you can also hit the M key with the selected. Let's say we want to put a little tail thing here, so we can just drag that out. If you want to work on this one separately, just go ahead and split it out. So because it's already masked, I like to do a split mask points, and that'll just split that off. Alternatively, if we grab this one here, and you drag these out, and it's like, okay, these are the wings. Let's drag them the other way. So we got the wings on there. If you do split unmasked points, that'll split them below. If you do split mask points, it'll split the rest of, it'll invert what it's splitting. So I have it in my custom menu as split unmasked, splits what I'm working on below, split mask, splits what I'm working on above. That's useful for like doing booleans. So if we turn on this to a subtractive mesh, turn on the live boolean, you can actually use this as a subtractive mesh to kind of cut through your object, which we get the live booleans. It's in my ZBrush 4R8 playlist, the sci-fi pistol series, all that stuff. I'll show you that. This is an important one. ZBrush 4R8, what's new? We go over all of the live boolean stuff. I think it's early on too. So live boolean and everything, all the cool stuff you can do with live booleans is all on that channel. Anyway, so yeah, what I can do is I can duplicate this off so I can have wings that'll kind of sit within there. I can put like a little notch in there with my live boolean, and then I can sit these wings kind of in here. Now at this point, I can process this mesh as a live boolean, but also what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn live boolean off. Since this is already subtractive, I can just simply, if I turn on polyframe, I can merge that down, which is under the merge menu. I just merged it down, and if I go into solo mode, you're going to see this is a white polygroup. So if I control drag to Dynamesh, it'll just go slice that out for me. So I can use live boolean as kind of a preview of what it'll look like, and then I can just Dynamesh it because I'm working fast and loose and I don't really care too much. So that's one thing you can do. Also, while you're doing this, you can be going into your brushes here. I have a bunch of like hard surface alpha brushes that I got on Gumroad that I converted to these things. So I can double click any of these. And now I have, see how these alphas are changing on the fly? If you want more info on that, that ZBrush 4R8 playlists, scroll down, and there's create multi-alpha and create alphas from meshes is all in here. So yeah, mixing 2D and 3D alpha brushes, multi-alpha from brush from images. You can do that there. So now, because I have those selected, I can grab those and I can go through here. And again, we're just keeping it loose. We're not worried too much about exactly how this edge flow is going to be working or anything like that. You can also use ZModeler for this stuff. You don't have to go in here and like Dynamesh and create crazy complex things. You can just use ZModeler and get some stuff going. You can also just use stuff like clay buildup if you want to just kind of explore some shapes. You can use H-polish to go through here and refine them a little bit. You can use trim dynamic if you want to. Trim smooth border is another one. If you go up here to brush and you go down here to trim, trim smooth border is another good one. You can just kind of go through here and you can just pick a plane and it'll just kind of harden along that plane, and you can actually add a square alpha if you want to keep it. This is good for rocks too. So you can kind of go through here and you can just kind of like trim surfaces off, and also clip. We talked about that. You can go through here and you can just like clip certain things. If you also want to, hit Control W, Control drag. This is all Dynamesh. Let's say we want to take a chunk out of this. One way you can do that is hold down Control Shift. We're going to go into Slice, make sure B radius is off, and so we can slice through here. And if we do Dynamesh with groups turned on, that's going to Dynamesh, and then this is going to be its own separate piece. So we can go through here, we can isolate this one, we can slice this piece. Again, Dynamesh with groups turned on. We can isolate this one, go ahead and split it off. Go back down here to this one, hit Control W, probably turn groups off, Dynamesh that together. It's all one solid piece again. And now you have like a little inset piece here. I'm going to hit X to go out of X symmetry, Alt to go to Unmesh Mesh Center, and we can just kind of stick this back in here if we want to. Just kind of a little separate piece. And again, it's just quick, it's just easy, it's just Dynamesh, no big deal. But at least you have like a little working mesh that you can kind of go through here, and then you can even like mask this. If you need more resolution to work with, no big deal, just raise that resolution, just turn off groups. And let's go through here and we'll just mask this, or we'll use like mask lasso, and we'll say we'll mask this here, invert that, and we'll just pull this out here, you know, so you can just very quickly, and re-Dynamesh as needed. So very quickly go through here, and you can use alphas, you can slice things up, you can slice things off, you can pop these things out. And if you want to, again, because you know you can use box modeling in here, so we got to like insert single edge loop. We can put one in here. We can hold down Shift. So you can see here it's trying to conform to the geometry. Hold down Shift. That'll make it just a straight line. And then we can go through here. We'll do like insert multiple edge loops. And then we can Alt tap mark these ones. And then we can do like QMesh polygroup all. And then we can go through here. We can say like slide edge. We can slide this one back and this one back, I guess. And you can even go through here. And you can mix and match. So you don't have to just box model. You can take this one here. Let's raise that resolution just a bit. And now we can hold. Also, I should probably mention this. You'll see me when I raise the resolution. I'll go through here and I'll like smooth a little bit, and then I'll re-Dynamesh. Sometimes you'll like raise the resolution, you Dynamesh, or you Control drag, and it doesn't do anything. Sometimes you just need to tap the mesh just a little bit, just to reactivate it, and then Dynamesh will work again. But for this instance here, we'll go to like mask pin, and we'll just go through here, and we'll say we'll take this chunk here. And again, you can use an insert mesh brush for this. I'm going to invert that mask. It masks all the way through. So we'll mask that out. And then we'll say, let's move this up. Control drag. And again, we can go through here. It's like, oh, you know what? I wanted to move that up, but I also want to clip that back down. So I'm going to hold down Control Shift. And it's going to want to do a slice. If you tap Control, it'll temporarily become visibility. Hold down Alt. And now we can do Control Shift. And we don't want to do slice. We want to do clip. And now we can like clip this out, bring everything else back, re-Dynamesh it, and you can kind of resolve your shapes like this. Or again, like this could have been an insert mesh brush that was Dynameshed. So we can put a little cylinder on the back here. And if I wanted to, let's go ahead and do a split unmasked points. That'll drop it below. And then here's where we can go through here. We can do, you know what, I want to taper this one. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to go into the gizmo. Let's go to the taper deformer. I'm just going to taper this cylinder down a little bit. And if I want to just take these outer rings here, I'm going to do just a quick group by normals. I'm going to, you know what, just to make this easier to grab, insert single edge loop, and then Control Shift drag, delete hidden, and then we can just do QMesh polygroup all and QMesh this out. Or if you wanted to, you can also go through here. I'm going to hold down Alt and start dragging, tap Alt to get a new polygroup, and I'm just going to go all the way around, and like every other one, I'm just going to paint these. You can also use like using edge loops over an edge, and you can use like polygroup loops, but it's a little bit faster. Now that I have all those broken out, I can go down here to geometry, and we can do, say, a modify topology. Let's get rid of this edge loop here. And there is we'll get to this when we get to the hair later on. We can do unweld groups border, and heck, we can even do edge loops here. We can do panel loops. So we'll say panel loops polish down to 0. We'll grab some thickness here, double turned on, and we can actually just go through here and pop out some like panels here and make that kind of jet looking. A lot of different ways to accomplish what I just did. So you can also use ZModeler, QMesh, polygroup all. And although, you know what, let's not do QMesh because we want to stick things together. Let's do extrude, polygroup all. So then we can just go around here, and I think this will work. Let's do a quick auto groups to make sure I'm not lying to you guys. It is welding them together. Never mind, skip that. Trying to think if there's an elegant way out of that situation. You can do with these things, you can do, I wouldn't do it this way. I would use panel groups like I was showing you, but what you can do in a pinch is you can do split, group split, because they're all single polygroups here. So then you can go through here and you can say, this one's safe to do. QMesh polygroup all. You can QMesh this out to get some thickness, and then you can just step through. You can use your arrow key here, and you can just tap. So I'm just stepping through my polygroups here. Again, this is a silly way to do this, but hey, you know what? And then we can go back to the top here, and then we can just merge these all back together, like so. And now, if I do an auto groups, now you do need to be careful because those points are sitting right on top of each other. So there are some export settings where it will merge those points back. But that's just one way you can work. I don't know. That may or may not be worthwhile to you guys. So you've got that. Also, if you want to steal some stuff, not steal, borrow, we can go into our comma key here. We can go into projects. Now you're going to want to save this because if I load up a project, it's going to completely erase all of this stuff. So if I drag this back out, we'll go ahead and like save this as streaming summit demos. We'll just throw this out here. Yep. And then we'll go into our comma key, go into project, and then we're going to go to demo projects here. And you know what is it? Where did I take that? I know I got, oh, Boolean. So we're going to go into Boolean here. We've got our computer case fan. I think Drust did. So if you turn on live Boolean, that's the result you're going to get. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say Boolean. We'll turn on dynamic subdiv, make Boolean mesh, and that'll throw out our Boolean mesh here. I can hold down, it's got the fan right here. So I'm going to hit B, create insert mesh, new, turn off live Boolean. We can load up what we were working on here. And then, yeah, we can just drag these things on here. We can go into X symmetry. And now we've got a fan we can put in. Not that you would put a fan in here, but you know, just another example of how you can take little pieces from here and there. And you know, if you are buying Kitbash libraries from Gumroad, I'm not a big fan of using them straight up. I will use them for like form exploration. So for example, I go to brush, hard surface Kitbash, surface alpha. So for example, if we go to like structural components, so I have communications, met components, plumbing, optics and sensors. Let's keep looking at that. I have these all organized. Joints, universal, pivot and universal. I have hinge joints, brackets. Ooh, shit, Boolean agreeables. Structure, more structural components, thick and thin. Just a bunch of stuff that I've bought and downloaded over the years. And again, I don't ever use something that's just like, oh, I'm gonna take this piece here and I'm gonna slap it right here, and then I'm gonna export it, bake it, and call it a day. By the time I've gone through, this is just for like shape exploration. So if I grab a weird shape like this, and I just plop it on here, and I go ahead and split mask points, and then I go here, and you know what? Depending on how this is made, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly just Dynamesh this. It inherited the Dynamesh property, so if you drag something out on that's something that has Dynamesh turned on, it will have Dynamesh turned on with the exact same properties, so it's something to be aware of. And now I can go to unmesh mesh center, reset this, and we'll just do like a bend arc deformer. And then I can like bend this around, you know, and I can kind of decide, you know, do these things play together? Do I want to go through here and mask this out and like have this overlap a little bit and maybe go in here to trim dynamic, you know, and then maybe go back into my alpha brush here. And these aren't the, you know what, let's go into our comma key here underneath brushes, and we're going to say hard surface alpha. I'm going to grab these vents here, or the base components is usually what I want. Yeah, so you can kind of play around with this, kind of play around with this. And again, you're just getting your shape exploration going. But yeah, do this for a while, and then eventually you'll have stuff like this, and you'll have stuff like this, and you can just continue to explore and extrapolate. This is a Joseph Drust demo. We may get into that later on. hard surface modeling. Here's some more just really quick dumb pieces so I can put like little legs on them.